I got a new walk and a new point of view, a new purpose for everything I do. I got a new rule, only real folks around. If you were wondering, I'm about to tell you now. See, it's the same pretty face, but a brand.
Hi everyone, so this is part of the Practical Proverbs series, everyone, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you all about learning to accept yourself. As you see my shirt, y'all, the Practical Proverbs series. So within this series I'm going to be focusing on the book of Proverbs chapter 31 verse 25, where it says strength and honor are her clothing, and it correlates to what I'm going to be discussing, guys, in learning to accept yourself. Now, with me, I was always an individual where I couldn't accept myself, guys. I had a bunch of fears, personal fears and insecurities, guys. And it takes me to the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 15, where it says, "And for you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption, by whom we cry out, Abba, Father." So as I was saying, I had a lot of fears, y'all. I had fear of what people would think of me. I had fear of failing. I had, fear of how I would come off, guys, when dealing with people. And I had a serious fear of people who I genuinely care for. I feared what they would have thought of me, guys, because I was suffering from fear of rejection. And because I was suffering from the fear of rejection, it opened up a door to people pleasing. I was in bondage to people pleasing. So when I was around people, guys, I would take the time to observe the type of people that I was with. I knew a lot of their likes and dislikes because I took the time to really observe and get to know them. And I would adjust based on what they put out there, based on where they were at within their walks, guys. It kind of reminds me of what the Apostle Paul did in the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 20, guys. Just paraphrasing. He said in order to sway the Jews, he had to become a Jew. In order to persuade those who were under the law, he had to become as one of those who were up under the law. And that's what I was doing, guys. But it was mainly out of the fear of people pleasing, guys. I was adjusting based on something that I didn't surrender to the Lord, the fear. And it took me needing to trust in the Lord enough to trust in the fact that he was not going to hurt me. I was so used to being around people who loved me with conditions. I had to act a certain way. I had to talk a certain way. I had to be a certain way. And if I would say something, guys, that was contrary to what they thought that I should have said, they would shun me. They would push me away, and it added on to my fear of rejection. And it was only until the Lord, me needing to get by myself and talk with the Lord and being open with him and needing to trust in him enough, and the things that he was allowing to go on. I had to trust in him enough with this situation. And what he did was he led me to people who was able to love me and accept me for who I was, the real me, the me without having to worry about people pleasing. But because I was so accustomed to being around people who loved me with conditions, I couldn't really be myself. So it took time having to adjust being around them, guys. Being around a lot of my sisters who were able to, who loved me conditionally, guys. So it took me time having to break down that wall with them, first breaking down the wall with the Lord and trusting him, and then breaking down the wall with them. So when I was around them, I seen some of my people-pleasing tendencies coming off. I would come off as being overly nice to them or extra nice because I was so used to people painting a picture of me acting a certain way. And I was trying to prove myself, guys, to people, and even those who I genuinely care for. But you have to keep in mind, guys, those who genuinely love and care for you, guys, are able to accept you for who you are. They will tell you the truth when you need to know the truth, and vice versa. But they love you guys where you're at, because as you know, real, true, genuine love from a place of sincerity is what causes a person to change. And it was only being around those right individuals that helped me in breaking out of my shell. I had to distance myself from those who were causing me to stumble, guys, who could not love me in the way that I need to be loved, guys. And I don't fault them, because we're still works in progress. We still grow in time. But because they could not meet me where I was at my walk, I had to distance myself from them and get around people who was able to meet me where I was at within my walk. And it helped me in being open. It helped me in being free. The Lord used that to break barriers off of me. And as a result, I was able to be more of who I am in Christ, and therefore being able to effectively, genuinely love people without having to worry about people pleasing, guys. So, it just boils down to really need to surrender our fears, guys. Letting go of what we think. Letting go of what fear of how people will perceive us. We have to let go of fear of rejection and understanding that at the end of the day, even if we had no one, guys, it's Christ alone who gives us our strength. It's Christ alone who is our rock, our fortress, our salvation. He's our redeemer. He's our provider, guys. He is our restorer. He restores us, guys, into the people who he has called us to be. And as we're trusting in him, we're growing into those people who he has made us to be. And we're able to therefore genuinely love others, guys, without having to worry about what people think. Because if we're just honest, a lot of people have masks, and it takes real, true, genuine love from Christ to take those masks off. But it first starts off with need to trust in the Lord, not lean to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he should direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. And he will give you that strength, guys, to and trusting in him and being able to break down those walls with him. So therefore you could break down those walls with other people, guys, because your relationship with Christ is going to determine a lot of relationships with people that you call friends or whoever you may come across within the future, guys. So it takes strength. You need to trust in the Lord when you're so used to leaning to your own understanding, guys, of how you perceive things. So just learn to accept yourself for who you are, guys, loving who you are, where you are at this given moment, guys, and growing into the person who Christ has called you to be, because it's a process, guys. We grow into that, as you know. So yeah, y'all, I do pray that you just find this message to be edifying and encouraging to you all. So I do thank you all for listening. Much love and peace be with you. God bless.